Good morning. This is Pastor Doug. Last Sunday, we addressed the topic of waiting, and waiting in a sense when it seems like God is either not listening or is somehow sitting on his hands. And when we looked at the story of Zechariah and really his wife Elizabeth, two righteous and devout people, we saw that God was not passive, that God was responding to their prayers both that they would one day have a child, and also their prayers for the nation, their prayers that God would come and rescue and redeem his people. And so the angel Gabriel came to Zechariah with the astounding news that he and Elizabeth were going to have a child, and this child, who they were to name John, was going to be the forerunner of the Messiah, the one who would come to prepare the people for God's visitation, that God had not abandoned his people, that God was working. And we summarize that passage of Scripture with the statement that God acts. He always works in his right time and in his perfect ways. Those are not always easy to wait for or to discern. And sometimes there's just simply spiritual opposition. And the Lord wants us to persevere in prayer and to kind of pray through. And we sense that God has something for us or for others. And don't grow weary. Keep asking, seeking, and knocking. Sometimes God is simply working other events, and he's working in other people and preparing for what's to come. It's not just about us and our prayers. Somehow God is able to weave all things together. And then oftentimes it's simply God is working in us. God is preparing us for what he has in store. And part of that preparation is waiting. Part of that preparation is refining. Part of the preparation is being able to trust him and let go of control. There was a great question in our Advent devotional. I hope you've been reading this, the Time for Wonder. And it was just yesterday, and it was said about considering the story of Zechariah. Consider the painful yet life-giving process of relinquishing control. I think that's often an issue that God has to deal with us on. We want to be in control. And God says, I'm in control. Trust me and be faithful in what I have before you today. May even this Advent time where there's so many things like pressing in on us, may we be people who are able to rest in God's control and in his good plans. And be faithful in what he has for us. What is our part to play in those plans? This Sunday, we're going to be looking at Mary. And Mary is one who also had some astounding news brought to her by Gabriel. And yet her response ultimately was, may the word to me be what God has said it would be. I'm the Lord's servant. May it be done to me just as you have said. May that be our response. May we respond, God, what you have for me, help me to walk faithfully in that. Don't forget that we have Christmas Eve service coming up at 5 o'clock on Christmas Eve, and I would encourage you to invite family and friends to join us. That'll be a great evening of singing, of scripture, a brief message, and ending with a time of silent night and candlelights, and we anticipate just a beautiful time together. So use it to invite those who maybe don't normally come to church. It's a great opportunity. Have a great week. We'll see you on Sunday.